everyone, it's NonnaGrace, and I had a request to show Jake in my video. So this is Jake. He's a Chihuahua. I'm not going to keep him though. He's shivering. He says, "What is going on?" She never holds me in the kitchen. I hold him in the other room if I'm going to hold him. So we're going to put him in his little house. Say goodbye, Jake. Bye. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Yeah, toodaloo. Did you catch it?
Yep.
Trying to kill the camera. Did it flop big?
Not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah. It started tipping
Tipping?
back onto its feet. So.
Okay. Oh, and I got dog hair on me now. That's why I actually wrap him in a towel when I'm going to hold him. Okay. That's it. Well, today, when I was answering, it took me a long time to answer my comments. I went to church this morning because today was the first Sunday of the month and I teach church school, so I had to go to church on Sunday because I don't have to go to church on Sunday. I could have gone Saturday night, but it just seems easier to go to the Mass and then right after Mass is when they have church school. Whereas I would have had to make sure I got to the church by, I think, 9:30, which is not hard, but you know, you get busy doing something else and you hate to stop, so it's easier just to go. So I went to church and then I went to church school. By the time I got home, it was after 11:30 and my two grandchildren wanted to come home with me. They go, "Nonna, can we come home with you?" And I says, "Did you ask your mom?" And the one said, "Yeah, I asked Mom," but I said, "Well, how come Mom didn't say anything to me?" Well, I went upstairs to bring back the book that I forgot that I was hanging on to because I was carrying another book and I forgot I had the book, so I brought it back upstairs. So I called Jessica to see if it was okay to bring the kids home to my house. And you know what? They had a good time until the iPad went dead. Paige wanted to color, which was fine, so she did some coloring. She did it great. She found the color. She goes, "Where's the color? Do you have coloring books?" And Nonna, and I go, "Yeah, I do somewhere, but I don't remember where I put them." And so we went searching around, and I didn't find them. So I told her, "You just go look and see if you can find them." Well, she found the coloring books, and so she was coloring, and Kyle was playing on the iPad, and he did the Wii for a while. She did the Wii also for a while. So they did the sports one, and then they did the Let's Dance. The dance, whatever it is, I don't know. I think it's called Let's Dance. I don't know what it is, but it's dancing and you do movements. Well, then he roller skated for a little bit, and then he wanted to know how charged the iPad was because he had played on that earlier too. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but he did the iPad also. And I said, "It's only at 33%. We can't play it yet. It's got to still charge some more." Because I like to charge. If I want to charge them, I charge them all the way to the 100%. So they have to wait. I used to let them play while it was charging, but it gets very hot. And they've kind of ruined the cord that is to the charger. So I don't let them do that anymore. And he was getting bored because no more electronics. He didn't have his little handheld game that he brings. What's that thing called? A Switch or something? Yeah, some crazy little something or other. And so I said that, you know, you'd be awful if the power went out because then you wouldn't have any electricity. You wouldn't have any internet. You wouldn't have anything. You would just have to learn to color like your sister. So Jessica brought a book. I forgot the name of the book. Darn it. I don't know. It was about a little boy that was attached to the electronics and the power went out and he ended up, he was getting angry because then he remembered he had this old game that he had and all it needed was a AAA battery. And so he, or AA, I don't remember which battery, but he found it, but the battery was dead. And then he noticed his little sister was walking her doll and talking, and the doll was talking. And dolls don't talk. So he did the dive and took the doll, took the battery, and the little one cried because her dolly was not working now. And he took her doll. And so he got put in a timeout chair. And while he was there, he remembered something about how she was trying to be kind to him and he wasn't very nice and he felt very small. So he then when he was off timeout, he went to his sister and said, "Are you playing hide and seek?" And so then they played hide and seek. So it ended up a good story after all. But when the electricity came back on, guess what he did? He went right back to the electronics. He was so attached to them. And it made me think, kids don't really know how to entertain themselves, a lot of them. If they don't have the electronics, they're lost. They just don't know. If they don't have TV, they're lost. If they don't have the game that they play, they're lost. We didn't have those things. We learned to play, and they have forgotten how to play. And if it's not got a beep, beep, beep and a moving character, it's no fun. Like playing board games isn't any fun because it doesn't go fast enough. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't do whatever it is that they think it should do. Well, that's what I learned today, that kids are so attached to electronics. And it's funny because they will have their phones. You've seen this where kids will be sitting on the couch together and talking back and forth, but not really talking back and forth. They're texting back and forth because it's electronics. Well, today, when I was reading my comments, I copied and pasted it, and I told Rusty from the Ozark Duke that I may use it. Well, I didn't think I was going to use it this soon, but I'm going to use it this soon. I thought it was so cute because I was talking about how do people see you in my last video, and a lot of you think I'm talking about the outside of your car. No, the outside. Right now, our outsides of the car could be covered with salt, covered with mud, could be who knows what, because the weather, and if you have a dirt road, you're going to be dusty. And so it's not the outside. The outside doesn't mean anything. It's the inside. When you open the door and something falls out or you have to clear the seat or brush the seat off before you can even sit on it. That's what I was talking about. Not the outside. The outsides are fine. So, because you know what? I had never washed my gray car. Jim washed it once because I asked him to. We had driven all the way from our house to Florida. And because we went through slushy snow and salt and everything, and we get to Florida and everybody's car is shiny, bright and shiny and real pretty. And there's my car with this terrible white coat and splashes of slush on it. It looked really bad. So he did wash it, only because all the cars in Florida don't get all that stuff on it. I was going to say, yeah, I was going to say C-R-A-P. I didn't want to say that. But so he washed it. And my car that I have now, I've had it a year. I've never washed it. Did you? Oh, you washed it once?
Because the dealership gave us a free coupon.
He washed it once. No wonder it's still shiny. Except I went out the other day and I noticed that the cars were splashing me with their slush. So I do have a little bit of slush marks on it. But this is what I wanted to share from the Ozark Duke, Rusty. He put in his comment, and there was this little thing, and I thought it was so cute, so I want to share it with you. And it says, "My face in the mirror isn't wrinkled and drawn." I hope I don't mess this up. I better start again. My face in the mirror isn't wrinkled or drawn. My house isn't dirty and the cobwebs are gone. My garden looks lovely and so does my lawn. Heck, I might never put my glasses on. And that made me think of my mother. When my mother had cataracts, apparently when you have cataracts, you don't see things as clearly as you'd like to. Because when she got her eyes done and she came home, she goes, you let me live with this dust and this cobweb and whatever. It was sad. And it really wasn't that bad, but it was bad from what she imagined. She never saw any of this stuff until the cataracts came off. And I remember the one time her vision must have been really bad because there was this little, she thought it was a dust hanging in the doorway of between the kitchen and the dining room. There was the wood framing of the doorway. And there was this little gray thing hanging down. And she went up to reach for it because she's going to take it down, and it was a mouse's tail. And she goes, ah! She screamed. My mother doesn't scream very often, but that scream, she made that scream. It was funny. So I don't know. Does that everything? Want to give me my book? I wrote a couple things down. I'm not sure if I covered everything I wanted to cover. You know, I love talking to you, but I forget what I'm going to say. Oh, no, that's not the book, is it?
Maybe it's this one over here.
No, it's probably in the other room.
I don't know.
He's going to go check. Good thing he's here. He's my feet. I will let him go check and see. Yeah, is that the one maybe? Let me look,
Probably.
see.
I'm the runner.
You're the runner. Yep, you did that. Okay. Oh, I was going to talk about the Amish, too, a little bit. And in our area, a lot of people were afraid to eat the Amish food because they used to say they're not very clean. Well, they are clean. They're very clean people. Well, across the street used to be a little food stand. And I remember it had baked goods on it. It had pizza rolls, and it had fresh vegetables and things that were on it, muffins
Like a
and
farm
things
stand.
like a farm stand. And a lot of people weren't buying stuff until I said, you know, the food over there is great. And they said, oh, we don't want to eat that if that's the Amish. I said, it's not the Amish. It's my nephew. What he was doing is he was testing out to see how his food would sell, if it would
Baked goods
sell,
mostly.
before he opened up his what they call a brick and mortar building of his business, which he's got it was called the Bread Box, and he used to make the best bread and the best everything, actually, anything you want, and the servings were always way bigger than what you would consider. A good serving was huge, too big. We shouldn't eat that big, but he was making them big. And then he changed the name to Jake's Place, or Jake's Place. No, my
Yeah.
dog's name is Jake.
So is his son.
Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah.
Jake's place.
Jake's Place. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so once they found out that it was his stand, a lot of the stuff was being sold, and it was kind of nice to have a little store. It felt like a store. It was just a stand on across the road. And like one day Jim was mowing, and the kids were just getting really hungry, and I'm thinking, oh dear, he wants to finish the lawn before he comes in. I know he does. So I went across, and my nephew used to make these really good, they were little pizza rolls is what they were. It was like homemade bread stuffed with pizza, or stuffed with pepperoni. They were pepperoni rolls, or whatever you call them. They were good, but there was no sauce. It was just pepperoni and bread, and he would bake those. And so I went across and I bought a few of those and brought each of the kids one, and I gave Jim one, and of course he finished his mowing. Now he didn't feel as hungry. But that's what we did. And let's see, tips for renting. Oh, and Karina, she was telling this tip. It's too bad I didn't know this now that I'm going to sell the house. She said that somebody that she knew, I don't know who it was, but they used the tip of how clean they kept their car inside, whether they rented to them or not. Because if they're real sloppy with their car, they're going to be real sloppy with the apartment. And I thought, that's a good tip. That's like when I was doing foster care. I used to ask, well, what color's their hair? Because you couldn't ask what's their nationality, because then you'd be considered racist or prejudiced or something. But the thing is, I didn't want girls that had blonde hair. And the reason I didn't want the blonde-haired girls is they were a lot not as nice to. They were boy crazy. And they were really sassy. They used to say, "Talk to the hand. The face ain't listening," or something like that. They were really more trouble than not. And so what I really wanted was the girls with the dark hair. And think about it. Who has dark hair? It's not the blondes. I don't even dare say. Because you might be offended by this, and I don't want to be offending anybody. But I wanted only dark-haired girls and dark-haired boys. I did not want any blondes because they were difficult children. I had difficult enough time with, but the kids with the dark hair actually would show respect. They were easier of the hard, if that makes sense. So I guess that's it. If you made it to the end, you can give me a winky eye or something and say wink, wink, blink, a bottle of ink, or ink a bink, a bottle of ink, the cork fell off and pew, you stink. That's what that brought into mind. Yeah. You can give me a bottle of ink. I don't care. Just give me an ink a blink, a winky blink, or whatever, anything you like back there. It will be great. And I'll talk to you all again tomorrow. Bye.